As I look back on my childhood, I can't help but wonder, did my mom ever really want us? She was always absent emotionally, only focused on financial support. My dad, the one who did everything for us, both materially and emotionally, was always overlooked on Father's Day. But when we decided to change how we celebrated Mother's Day, everything suddenly turned upside down. My mom called us ungrateful kids. But are we really in the wrong? When I was a child, my family wasn't like the others I had seen. My mom was always busy with her work and career. She was the financial pillar of our family, bringing in the main income and ensuring our material stability. She did a great job of this, making sure we were comfortable in terms of physical needs. But her absence wasn't just because she was too busy with her job. The biggest lack I felt throughout my childhood was emotional support. My mom was never the one to listen when I needed advice or comfort. Whenever I felt sad or confused, I couldn't turn to her. During those moments, she could only respond with shallow comments or at times indifference. She seemed like a faint presence in the house, only there to fulfill the bare minimum of responsibilities, never truly caring about how we felt. Mom never participated in my activities. I started ballet as a child, and the performances were always filled with sweat and hours of hard practice. She came to a few, but only for the major performances, and each time I felt like she was just there to check the box, then returned to her work and left us behind. She always found ways to avoid emotional responsibilities, even simple things like helping me with homework or answering my questions. I remember the many nights my dad would sit with me until late, helping me with my schoolwork, explaining step by step until I understood. He was the only one there whenever I needed help. Whenever I struggled with a lesson or had life issues, my dad would patiently be by my side, listening and offering thoughtful advice. He did everything my mom should have done. He was the one taking care of us emotionally, the one walking with me through difficult moments. From teaching me how to cook to showing me how to take care of myself, Dad was always there. Even so, I can't deny that we were never lacking materially. Mom did an excellent job of providing financial stability for our family. We had a nice home, enough food, and a good education. But if I had to choose between that and the love and care I longed for, I would choose love any day. While my mom provided so much materially, I felt emotionally deprived. I grew up in a family that had everything except for my mom's love and attention. This haunted me because I couldn't find any deep connection with her, even though she gave me everything materially. As I grew older and began to understand more, I learned that my mom never really wanted children. Later, when I had the chance to talk to her, she admitted that it was she who suggested that she stay home while Dad would handle raising us. She loved her job and didn't feel the need to be involved in things like parenting or family activities. She once said that she wasn't cut out for childcare. This broke my heart. Even though I tried to understand and accept it, I couldn't help but feel frustrated when I thought about growing up without a real mother figure. She only showed up when everything was already done, when I was old enough to take care of things on my own. Her few appearances at my ballet performances or family events were rare moments that never lasted long. Mom might have been a strong, talented, and successful woman in her career, but in my eyes, she lacked something crucial: love and emotional presence in my life. Every day, my dad did everything my mom was supposed to do. He wasn't just the one who went to work and earned a living, but he was also the one taking care of us, teaching us life lessons. Mom might have earned the money, but Dad taught us love, responsibility, and patience. He was the one who taught me how to cook, how to clean the house, and even how to take care of myself. Every night after coming home from work, Dad would sit with me to help with my homework, patiently explaining step by step until I understood. I remember those long evenings when I couldn't grasp a math problem or didn't know how to solve an issue. Dad was always there, offering the best advice. He never seemed tired, even after working a full day. Sometimes, he even took the time to talk to me about things that weren't school-related. The stories he shared not only helped me learn new things, but also helped me understand life better, the values of persistence and love. Those evenings weren't just about studying. They were about the conversations, the warm advice Dad gave me, Even though Mom was at home, she never participated in family activities. She only showed up when everything was already taken care of, and she never helped Dad with raising us. Father's Day was the clearest example of the lack of emotional investment from Mom. My dad always went out of his way to make sure our family had a special day, especially for Mother's Day. Every year he organized big meals, cozy get-togethers, doing everything he could to make Mom feel loved and appreciated. He never complained, even though I could tell deep down it made him sad. In contrast, on Father's Day, no one in the family did anything for him. Mom never cared about doing something special for him, even though it was a day meant to honor him. At first, I didn't understand why there was such a clear difference. I once asked Dad about it, why he didn't get the same attention as Mom. He just shook his head and said, "Father's Day isn't as important as Mother's Day." At that time, I didn't fully grasp the disappointment in his words. But as I grew older, I began to realize that he had been enduring a great injustice. Mom not only overlooked Dad's efforts, but she never even tried to show appreciation for all he did for the family. This made me really sad and angry with Mom. I started to realize that my dad was doing everything Mom should have been doing, and I felt terrible that she couldn't see it. While Mom may have provided everything materially for the family, her emotional absence was always palpable. The more I grew, the more I understood that honor and respect don't just come from big gifts or lavish parties. It's about recognition, about acknowledging the hard work and love each person gives to the family. And Dad, who had always done everything for us, never received that from Mom. I remember those long evenings when I couldn't grasp a math problem or didn't know how to solve an issue. Dad was always there, offering the best advice. He never seemed tired, even after working a full day. Sometimes he even took the time to talk to me about things that weren't school-related. The stories he shared not only helped me learn new things, but also helped me understand life better, the values of persistence and love. Those evenings weren't just about studying. They were about the conversations, the warm advice Dad gave me. Even though Mom was at home, she never participated in family activities. She only showed up when everything was already taken care of, and she never helped Dad with raising us. Father's Day was the clearest example of the lack of emotional investment from Mom. My dad always went out of his way to make sure our family had a special day, especially for Mother's Day. Every year, he organized big meals, cozy get-togethers, doing everything he could to make Mom feel loved and appreciated. He never complained, even though I could tell deep down it made him sad. In contrast, on Father's Day, no one in the family did anything for him. Mom never cared about doing something special for him, even though it was a day meant to honor him. At first, I didn't understand why there was such a clear difference. I once asked Dad about it, why he didn't get the same attention as Mom. He just shook his head and said, "Father's Day isn't as important as Mother's Day." At that time, I didn't fully grasp the disappointment in his words, but as I grew older, I began to realize that he had been enduring a great injustice. Mom not only overlooked Dad's efforts, but she never even tried to show appreciation for all he did for the family. This made me really sad and angry with Mom. I started to realize that my dad was doing everything Mom should have been doing, and I felt terrible that she couldn't see it. While Mom may have provided everything materially for the family, her emotional absence was always palpable. The more I grew, the more I understood that honor and respect don't just come from big gifts or lavish parties. It's about recognition, about acknowledging the hard work and love each person gives to the family. And Dad, who had always done everything for us, never received that from Mom. Then one day, something happened that I hadn't anticipated. Mom called me and my sister saying she felt hurt because we didn't celebrate Mother's Day the way we used to. Her words startled me, as we had never stopped respecting her, but the way we showed our appreciation had changed drastically. She complained that we were ungrateful and had become cold. I was left in utter disappointment. I couldn't understand why she didn't realize that we were only reflecting the emotional absence she had maintained all these years. Mom had contributed very little emotionally to our upbringing. And now, as we were adults with families of our own, She expected us to celebrate her in the same way Dad had always celebrated her in the past. This made me feel compelled to express my feelings more honestly. I told Mom that for all the years we grew up, she only provided financially for the family, while Dad did all the emotional labor and cared for us. And now, when we decided to scale back on the grand gestures for her, she was upset and felt hurt. I emphasized that we had never agreed with the way she had treated Dad or us during those years. We had loved her, but that love couldn't always make up for the emotional neglect we had endured during our formative years. Mom stayed silent for a long time before responding, and when she finally did, her tone was cold and disappointed. She called us ungrateful kids. This hit me hard, not because I felt guilty, but because I couldn't understand why she couldn't see what we had done or why we had done it. We were only doing what she had taught us over the years. Love is real care, and respect isn't something that can be bought with material things. After that conversation, my sister and I began to feel stuck. Our mom always responded coldly whenever we tried to show her affection, while our dad always accepted our gestures of appreciation with love and gratitude. However, we couldn't ignore the pain Dad had been carrying all these years. We began to realize that no matter what we did for Mom, it couldn't make up for the emotional absence we had endured growing up under her neglect. Mom continued to complain, saying we didn't understand her. It felt as though we were ungrateful children who didn't appreciate what she had done for the family. But my sister and I couldn't forget the years when she focused solely on her career and ignored all responsibilities toward us. Mom had chosen to abandon the role of nurturing us so she could focus on her job, and we had to grow up in a house devoid of her love and care. When I spoke to Dad about this, he remained silent. I could see the sadness in his eyes, but he never complained. Dad was always patient and forgiving, but I knew he also felt hurt that Mom couldn't recognize the sacrifices he had made for the family. He admitted that it wasn't easy doing everything alone, but he never wanted to cause any trouble for Mom. Dad always believed that everything should be handled quietly, without the need for recognition or praise. My sister and I tried to change the way we received affection from Mom. We decided to stop organizing grand celebrations and instead invite her for a simple meal or just send her gifts on special occasions. While we still loved her and wanted her to know we thought about her, this approach seemed to make her even more distant. The more we did, the more it felt like everything we did was meaningless to her. Mom never acknowledged our efforts, and that left us exhausted. One time, after we organized a small dinner for Mom, she remained indifferent. No thank you, just silence. I looked at her, feeling a deep sense of disappointment. I thought about everything Dad had done for us over the years, and I realized that there was nothing we could do to fill the emotional void she left. Her absence of love could never be compensated by any gift, no matter how grand. This feeling started to make me feel disappointed in myself. I didn't understand why Mom couldn't see what we were trying to do, the efforts we put in to help her feel our love. But more than that, I felt guilty toward Dad, because he had always sacrificed everything to keep this family together, knowing he would never receive the recognition he deserved from Mom. Dad had never demanded anything, but I knew he felt the unfairness of not being appreciated by her. Gradually, I realized that waiting for Mom to change was futile. We had done our best, but love and care couldn't always be repaid in the way we hoped. Mom remained the same, unchanged, but as for Dad, even though he never voiced it, I knew he would always be the one to stand strong, the one my sister and I could rely on, no matter what. As time passed, despite my sister and I doing everything we could to maintain a relationship with Mom, I began to realize that all our efforts seemed futile. Mom remained the same, unchanged. We had done everything we could to make her feel loved and appreciated, but she never acknowledged it. This left me feeling exhausted and confused as we constantly tried to make Mom happy, yet she seemed consumed by her work and never noticed the emotional void we were experiencing. One day, after Mom once again complained that we hadn't done enough for her, I felt I could no longer hold back my emotions. I decided to speak openly with her about everything I had kept inside for so long. I couldn't keep accepting her constant criticism without understanding the efforts we had made. I told her that I couldn't endure this emotional neglect any longer. We had grown up in a house devoid of love and attention, and now that we were adults with our own families, we couldn't continue to live in silence and coldness like this. Mom listened to me, but she remained silent. I could sense the coldness in her eyes. She didn't say a word, and I didn't know if she even understood what I was feeling. I spoke from the heart, but there was no response. It was an incredibly difficult moment. I felt like I was standing against an invisible wall, unable to reach Mom no matter how hard I tried. She only said one thing after that. "I don't know what to do with you kids anymore." That sentence hurt more than anything. She didn't know what to do with us? Had she ever truly understood how we had suffered growing up without her presence? Did she ever realize that all we wanted was for her to understand and love us the way Dad had done for us all these years? When the conversation ended, I didn't feel relief or comfort, just emptiness. I knew we couldn't change Mom. We couldn't make her understand what we had endured. No matter how much I tried, I couldn't make her love us or care for us in the way we wanted. Our relationship would always be stuck in the shadow of her emotional neglect and indifference. After that conversation, I decided I would no longer try to change Mom. I understood that she would never be the person I hoped she would be. We had done everything we could to keep in touch and maintain a relationship, but we couldn't continue living in constant expectation and disappointment. I would cherish what I had with Dad, who had always been the steady support beside us all along. Dad had given us all the love and care we needed. He had done more than enough, and I knew that was all we truly needed.